Thank you so much, Joe, and thank you for inviting us and for all the work that you do. This is a great cause, and I love that we are a part of it. So I appreciate that with you and your team. So it is my honor and privilege to introduce you guys to an award-winning actress, talented designer, successful businesswoman, beloved wife, mom, grandma, friend, a true angel, Jaclyn Smith. Hi, Jaclyn.
Hi, Ramon. Thank you for having me. Such a wonderful cause to be a part of. So yeah. I'm really happy to take part.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. And you know, one of the things that ever since we started working together a few years ago, a lot of people ask me a lot of questions about you. And what they mostly ask me is, what is she like in real life? How did she start her brand? Can you tell her she was my favorite angel? And then they say, can we FaceTime her? And I'm like, no, we cannot FaceTime her. So what I'll say is that, you know, I think that we can pretty much go through all these things today, and I know people want to hear about your branding, but I wanted to start with who you are, because as I've gotten to know you, I can see how who you are translates into your brand, and people really connects with you. And the reason why they connect with you is because you show your heart, and it's a beautiful heart, right? So I'll say that there's 3 values that come to mind that are a key in who you are, and there will be family, creativity, and integrity. So if we can speak to each one of those, and then on how they show up in your life. So we'll start with family.
Wow, family. That's everything to me. As you know, Ramon, like you, that's why we get along so well. It makes my world go round. And I think we're all better in a family than individually, because we're loved. And there's nothing like love that inspires us to be the best person we can be. I grew up with an incredible parents. I grew up in Houston, Texas in the 50s. So that was a very much gentler time to grow up. And my parents were just, I can't say enough. They, you know, instilled right and wrong, a moral code, a strong sense of values that's carried through today. You know, it's a part of everything I do. Every breath I take, you know, I think of them. And I had a grandfather who lived to be almost 102, who was a Methodist minister, and you just don't get any better than that. He was just too good to be true. So now I have my own family, and I must say, children enrich me in another whole way, because with each generation, the voice is different. Their point of view is different. So they make me step up my game. They keep me really alert and alive to the present time. So I'm lucky. You know, it's the values that were instilled in me as a child, I've hoped to instill in mine.
Yeah. No, it's I did a lot. I Google a lot of your early interviews over the weekend to get ready for this, and a lot of times they will ask you, what do you want? You know, how do you see yourself in the future? And many times you answered, I want to be a mom. And it's very interesting to see, you know, fast forward that you're a mom and you're a grandmother. So and you enjoy those kids very much. Integrity is
and I am lucky. I have 2 granddaughters.
Right. Bea and Olivia. So
and
integrity in the way that you conduct yourself, what role does that play, Jaclyn?
Well, I think integrity, you know, it's honesty, it's loyalty, it's being true to yourself. It's not taking on the influence that doesn't follow your true values. So it plays a very big part, certainly in business. It plays a part in work ethic and relationships. it's really a team, as you know, Ramon. We work so closely together, and it's not one point of view that puts this beautiful blouse out.
Mhm.
It's the cohesiveness, and all that goes into integrity, giving everybody credit, and everybody has a hand in it and makes it successful. So I think that's how integrity plays into my work, life, into my family life. It's a part of everything.
Right. No, it's a very good point to say that everybody has a voice. When it comes to being creative, you've gone from performance arts to, designing, and it takes a lot of creativity for everything that you do and has in your brand. So how do you feel, like how do you fulfill that?
Well, I think creativity comes from freedom to think and be, and not be locked into a bias. And certainly I must give Kmart way back, 36 years, credit to let me dream without boundaries when they said, you can do this first collection, let it be your dream. And that was a dream, because I never thought I'd be a designer, a dress designer, even though that's something my mother wanted. And they really let me be so totally involved. Like, do you want a pleated pant? Do you want a straight leg, a flared leg? And that all came into being because they let my creative flow and my creativity. And it was a gift. It was a time when I was really educated about mass production. It wasn't just creating one beautiful suit or dress or blouse. It really had to do with creating for so many people that have watched me on TV. It was a way to give back. So creativity really comes from being free in your mind and letting all that part flow freely and create beautiful things. You can be inspired by a painting, by my granddaughter running in here, by Earth Day today. It's all a
Right.
part of creativity.
Right. It's being in tune with everything that is around us, right?
Everything, yes, everything plays a part in what inspires you and enlightens you.
So, Jaclyn, you grew up in Texas, and then all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden, but one day you find yourself in Hollywood as a superstar of Charlie's Angels. How was that? A dream? Was that a goal? Was it something that you envisioned for yourself?
Well, it didn't happen that quickly. I went to New York. Yeah, I went to New York to study ballet.
Right.
And it was at a time when, it wasn't about agents and managers. There was, a lot of my opportunity came from people seeing me. I didn't know that much about the fashion world. I really thought I was going to study dance, go home and open a ballet school. But a commercial agent saw me. I started commercials, maybe did 100 commercials. Then maybe somebody saw me. Well, I want you to test for this movie. And I go and do a test. One thing led to another. Charlie's Angels didn't happen so quickly because there were a lot of little pieces in between. But when it happened, it was, wow, it just changed my world and my life, because it was 3 networks at the time. Right. And so the audience share was tremendous. The amount of people tuning in, and you were in people's living room every single day. So there was no more walking down the street without somebody knowing you. So right. Celebrity is a particular kind of thing. You really have to have your feet on the ground. So I give my parents credit for instilling the right thing, because it can just overwhelm you. You don't stand in line at a movie theater or, at a restaurant. So yes, that kind of notoriety all of a sudden is kind of, it's exciting, it's amazing, but when it gets down to it, it's really about the work. It was about the work on Charlie's Angels.
Right. And it was groundbreaking, right? So there was a lot of doubts about an all-female cast.
Right. We were the first, really, because it was always 3 men. Women were, nurses and believe me, I said that one time, nurses are our heroes today, but they didn't take charge. They weren't independent women as we were portrayed in Charlie's Angels, mothers, wives, stay at home. They were domestic. And all of a sudden, these were three women going about their job in an independent way, emotionally independent, financially independent. So, yeah, I think it was groundbreaking. And I think we got a lot of criticism that it was, eye candy, but really it was more than that. It was about friendship. It was about the bonding of the girls and how three different girls came together in this very cohesive way, working for a man they didn't see. But it was, yeah. And then we had the Bosley for the comic relief.
Right. No, and it's interesting. You were the one that lasted for the 5 seasons, so you got to welcome other angels and were able to get them up in their feet. I'll imagine as the show went on.
Yeah, I think there was a 5-year contract, and I signed that. So when you talk about integrity, I loved Aaron Spelling. You couldn't get Aaron Spelling with Goldberg. You couldn't get better producers. So therefore, I was going to complete that 5 years.
Right. So, Jaclyn, the fashion in the show, the hair, the style, all of that was just incredible, right? It was very 70s. Did that lead to what you started working with companies on collaborations or more commercials? How did the brand started?
Well, the brand, when Kmart approached me, I was under contract to Max Factor, and I'll be honest, I hadn't shopped in Kmart, and I thought, I don't see fashion. It didn't quite ring true to me that fashion would be in Kmart. So Max Factor said, no, this is not your customer. We want you to turn this down, which I did. They called back. They said, take another meeting, take it in, really see what we have to offer. I did. And I must admit, there was a line in the store, it was called Hunter's Glen, and it was very reminiscent of Ralph Lauren in the sense that it was very collegiate and all American. And I couldn't believe that they could put those products out at that price point. So all of a sudden, something sort of rang a bell. This is interesting. This could be a challenge. This could open another door. I think when you talk about creativity, being an actress, being a designer, it's all under the same umbrella because it is all about talent, creativity, being inspired by something. And I was really inspired by that line I saw in Kmart. And I said, listen, if I can be totally involved and down to the commercials, the hang tag, where we put a button, I knew it would be an education for me. I said, I'd like to do this. And that's what they wanted. So earlier when I said they really gave me free reign to dream about that first collection. And we didn't launch it in all the stores. We started with, I think, 500 stores. They had 1,200 at the time. And it just flew out of the store. So that was the beginning of my branding career.
Right, and that's what I was talking about. The connection that you have with who your customer is. Just for the audience, the partnership with Kmart has been for 36 years. It was 1985 when you guys started working together, and before we even had our Instagram accounts, you had sold clothing for 100 million women, which is like, if you compare branding then to branding now, it's like, how do you make it grow? You were telling me earlier this week about visiting stores and doing all of that to promote the brand.
Well, at that time, we didn't have Instagram. And, Instagram is sort of like a business card to the whole world. And I started by doing store appearances and did store appearances. So I met my customer. I shook their hand. The story is in the eyes. And that customer could tell me what what they liked, what they didn't. And there was a connection, and we sort of grew together, and we grew up together, and they watched my brand evolve. And it really did evolve, because at the beginning, you know, there was no black, there was no navy, there was no khaki, it was pastels. And we evolved and took chances and made our mistakes. And we weren't afraid of our mistakes, because we learned from our mistakes. But I think that initial connection to my customer, I still have that customer. Whereas today it's different. We do have Instagram, and you can be visually present all the time. And there is a plus, and you do get feedback. But I didn't have that then. But I don't regret it, because being in the stores was pretty special for me. I liked it.
Yeah, that's something that
fabric, and being in the clothes and letting my customers see me in the clothes.
Right. Well, and that has made you a living filter. So when we work, we know exactly what fits within your brand or doesn't fit within your brand, because you are the brand. So I think that's one of the advantages of, you know, being able to work together, that it makes it, the filter is extremely clear. Because it's practically you, and you've expanded now into different categories, right? So do you want to speak about that, about all the things that you reach?
Well, you mean my other brands outside?
Right.
Yes,
right.
I have a skincare that my husband developed. He's a doctor, so he was really, he put his heart into that. He understands chemistry, and he took what I used for 40 years and enhanced it with the cutting edge ingredients of the day, which is constantly changing. As you know, there's always something new coming out. So it's 7 products, and it's a night cream. Retinol is in that night cream. And retinol truly, I think, is the anti-aging, the gold standard in anti-aging. And then there's a repairing night cream. There's a day cream that I love, with pearl dust, diamond dust, antioxidants, hyaluronic acid. And there's an eye cream, a body cream, and an exfoliator. So it's all the things I use. I don't believe you need to really be a slave. You know, that's what I wanted, to make it easy and not have a million different products. But I think he's always reanalyzing. Do we want to add to the day cream? Do we want to add to the repairing cream? So I have that. I have a line of wigs for Paula Young, which has been great, because I think as much as women today need, I mean, certainly the sales went through the roof in COVID, because people weren't going to beauty salons.
Right.
And they weren't their hair cut, and they didn't have the luxury of hair color. So boy, those wigs really were a hot item. And, you know, I think they're also a fashion statement today. And then when I'm a breast cancer survivor, 20 years, so knock on wood. And I thought I didn't have to do chemo, but that was a fear, and thank goodness I didn't. But women do, and they need, you know, enhancement with a wig. And we really designed a wig with this gel-like inside, so it's easy on your scalp. So I have that. I'm very proud of that. And the one thing about and I have a line of fabric for fabric cut. My line is called Trend. And I think everything that I have done is about value with affordability, because I don't think you have to spend a fortune to look good or have beautiful things in your home or to put a wig on. So I think that has been my philosophy from day one, to give back. And it's been my way. It gives purpose to what you do. It makes you feel good. And it's fulfilling to think that, you know, women, you know, have benefited from some of the things we've done.
No, it's definitely the value piece is something that really transcends into every single one of the businesses that I see you working on. So that's yet one more connection you have with the customers. Jaclyn, what are you working on right now? Is there new things that we don't know about?
I'm doing a book. I'm
Yes,
doing the
let's talk
book that
about
I've
that.
been writing, and it's a very emotional process to do a book because you go way, way back and you relive. Charlie's Angels was easy to write that chapter, but I go back to my childhood. I go back to the beginning of a career. You talk about so many things, your children and them growing up, and you talk about loss of parents, which is a very difficult thing to deal with. And all that's in the book. And I keep trying to get it done, but it just keeps sort of taking a little bit longer. And so I'm doing that and always creating new clothes and new apparel and fabrics. And, I've been fascinated with textiles from a young girl, always a collector. So when I had the opportunity to design for Kmart and now Sears, just touching the fabrics is important to me. What feels good on your body? Like this blouse feels good to me.
Mhm.
I mean,
It
there's
looks great.
a luxury to it. Yeah. Well, thank you, Ramon. We put our heads together, and I think that's when I say individually, it's not one individual that puts a product out. It's a team, and everybody deserves credit because it's not easy, and especially for the masses, because you're designing for so many sizes and shapes, and it has to have, a look that will, meet many people's needs.
Right. So, Jaclyn, there is some. So we obviously are going through the pandemic, and the world's going to be probably very different when we come out of it. And there's a lot of the younger generation wants to know like what to do. If you work to be able to give them a piece of advice on how you see things, what would that be?
Well, I would say if you want to go into business, if you want to go into branding, I think you need to stay close to what you love, to your passion. And when you want to develop a brand, your brand has to have an identity. It has to stand for something. You have to say, what makes it different? What's going to make the customer want this brand? What does it stand for? What is the reason? Because your brand needs its own DNA. And then it's yours, all yours. You need a mission statement. Mine was value with affordability. And that story, if it's authentic to you, will evolve, and you'll take your customer on a voyage and they'll follow you. And that's very easy to do with Instagram because they get to peek into your life and they get to see who you are. And you can put that product out there and have it visible at all times, and you can get feedback at all times. So these are some points that I think, you start with. Like I said before, you can't be afraid of mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. And you surround yourself with people that sometimes are smarter than you. Like I said, Kmart educated me about branding. I had an idea what women wanted to wear, and I wanted timeless clothes that resonate over years, build a wardrobe. But I really didn't know how to bring it in at a certain price point. How do we reduce the price and still have this fantastic fabric? So all these things, when you surround yourself with bright people, that's a plus. But I think stay close to home, stay close to what you have a passion for and you love and what inspires you. Business is another whole world. As an actress, you read a script, you can go into your room alone and create a character and let your imagination go wild. But like I say, when you have a product, it's really about the product, the connection to the consumer, and are they going to like it, and why do they like it?
Right.
And you have to be open and listen. These are some things that, have been important to me, to hear my customer, to know my customer. A brand, to me, is a promise. So you got to fulfill that promise to that customer. And it constantly has to change. and evolve.
So I'm going to go a little bit back on the timeline. You were the first celebrity that launched a brand, is that right? Or were you in the first group?
Yes, I was. And people said, what are you doing? Because
Right.
I had just come off Charlie's Angels, and I had gone on, and from that I'm trying to think, I did Rage of Angels, then Jaclyn Kennedy, but as an actress, it takes a lot. And they thought, that's not what you should be doing right now. But I think it's probably one of the wisest decisions I've ever made, because it's as creative as being, it's as challenging as business is, even more challenging in the sense it involves so much more. Because as an actress, if it's on the written page and you have a good director and a good cast, hey, you got a winner. But to create a product, that's a little more challenging. So I'm glad I did it, because I think challenge is rejuvenating. I think it keeps you alive. It keeps you alert and alive with the world, with the people you're giving your product to, with your loved ones. All that goes into what I'm talking about, just staying present.
Right. Yeah, I was talking to someone earlier about staying uncomfortable and to keep on growing and to keep on learning. So, but I think that, if you took a risk and that risk paid off, and you stayed true to yourself, and the brand was very well defined by the way that you lived by, that led to the success that you have today. So it's really incredible what you have done. I'm going to read some of the questions that we have.
Okay.
People
Sounds
have been
good.
asking questions, if that's okay.
I love it. Love to hear what they have to say.
So, well, there's a lot of compliments, but they said, so the first one comes from Randy. He's saying, Jaclyn, you have such an amazing and youthful vibe, spirit. What's your secret?
Was that secret to my spirit?
Yeah, your youthful spirit.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think it's about, being loved. And I must say, I've been fortunate. I have a beautiful family, 2 beautiful kids, grandchildren, great parents. And as far as the other part of my life, friends, and all the people I've worked with have been my friends. It hasn't been work at all. It hasn't been work. I've had it at my age, still working, still being challenged is a plus. So I'm grateful for that. I think being grateful.
Right.
But thank you.
Do you so there's a question from Brandon. It says, what was it like on the set of Charlie's Angels? And are you how are Kate Jackson and Cheryl at? You stay in touch with them?
They're both great. I talked to Kate pretty recently. The set, every day was new. Every day was different. And we were doing 18-hour days. So there were, forced calls, but that was really fun. I mean, people say, what do you remember most? What is the best thing about Charlie's Angels? I'd have to say the girls, the friendship. We had fun. We had lunch together. We grew up together. We went through ups and downs together. So that bond is very strong. I always say, the mention of any one of the angels' names brings back a beautiful memory.
Right. No, it obviously, for us who are fans and have seen, you over time, we know that you remain friends with them. We saw it with Farrah, and we've talked about it personally. So it's just incredible, that bond you have. So Mike Pingle has a lot of questions about the brand.
Mike knows everything. He knows it better than me.
Okay, so he's saying, have you ever used any of the fantastic 70s Charlie's Angels fashions in your clothing line?
Have I? Yes, I think that's inspired a lot. The flare, the bell-bottom pant, the silk blouse. It also inspired Tom Ford on his first collection. It was
Oh, is
very,
that right?
yeah, it was very reminiscent. The silk blouse, the velvet flared pant. Um, Always, yeah. Charlie's Angels, the only thing I'll say, my daughter goes, Mom, why didn't you keep everything? It was so cool. It was so great. And, that's what I mean when, my daughter steps up my game in fashion all the time because and this is a fun story. I had a pale pink linen suit that was in one of my first collections. And, I was always fighting for navy and taupe. And she took the pair of pants, rolled up and made them sort of cut off, wore a white tank top, cinched in the waist. And it was like, wow, what a different look. And like a page of Vogue. She looks so great in it. And people stop. Where did you get the pants? Where did you get those pants? So it was just a different way to, wear what I had designed. And it makes you think in a different direction.
Right. Well, my favorite part of your closet when you showed me was the Sears Kmart section where you have your favorite pieces. Yeah. So Mike Sasko also saying what it was the most successful piece that you had through in the clothing line, and any mistakes.
Lots. Listen, you can't do a line and not have some mistakes, if I heard that right. But I think one of the most successful is the Angel jean. The fit is perfect. I mean, it seems to work on a lot of different sizes, because we're doing the petite to the to the plus size. So, but I think, you always are experimenting, and if you're afraid to make mistakes, you won't get that perfect top or pant or certainly my blouses are, a blouse can change an outfit and they're very affordable. So I think my blouses are very successful. It's close to build a wardrobe on. So they're staples too. They're timeless. And I think people really love that they don't tire of them so easily because yes, they're on trend, but they're not trendy.
Yeah, is there something that has stayed through? Jeannie Rothschild was asking, is there something that has stayed through over time in the collection?
So many. I mean, the cut of my trouser, the classic, we have the flat front, the zip, and then we have the pleated pant. All these are
right.
People come back. The logo, the shirt with the roll-up sleeve and the little gold buttons. That's a big seller. I love the silk blouse with a zip and the animal print. People love that. And
animal print.
You think we got to come back and do it differently, but you get letters. I want more of that. I just got a letter from a woman. I mean, her handbag is 20 years old. I mean, I know you think, now she's exaggerated, but I'm telling the truth. I sent that to you, right, Ramon? Did I send you the picture?
Yes, I got it. No, I got it. I have the picture.
I mean, she complimented the quality of the handbag and sent a picture, and it looks amazing. It wore so well. And it was functional, and you love to get those kind of letters from a customer when you know what you've done pleases them and has really worked well, because women want to feel feminine and beautiful. And I've tried to really make my collection feminine, even though it's classic, and there's a trouser and a blazer or a leather jacket or vegan leather pants. I always go for femininity.
No, it's I mean, obviously it's again, it's who you are, and it translates into the brand. So that's why I absolutely love working with you on that.
Well, you're a plus. I'll tell you, Ramon, you make it happen. So that's what I mean. You
no, it's not me.
Surround yourself with very talented people. because I might have an idea that then Ramon will come in and say, we got to tweak it here. We got to do this, or, so when I say it's team, it really is. So thank you.
Jaclyn, I see someone behind you. Who would that be? Is that little
wow.
B?
Oh, if it is, come in, B.
B.
B's hiding.
Hey, girl, there she is.
Yeah,
come
that's
on.
the joy.
No?
When you say spirit, when you ask me about my spirit, it's right back there.
Right.
She is the light of my life, and she makes me smile every single day. And when I daydream, she goes, Mimi, you're distracted. And I say, okay.
No, that's great.
Okay.
We're so happy to see her.
Yeah, she is.
Have you over the years, who have been your mentors?
Oh wow. Well, my mother. I mean, as far as fashion and just how I want to live, my mother, I mean, her home was beautiful. She dressed beautifully. I admired her inside and out. And her choice of colors, my daughter got that. Like I'm in a pink blouse, but I tend to wear a lot of white, tan, black, navy. And my mother wore color and mixed it. And my daughter does just the same. And so does my granddaughter. You want to come in, B?
Hi, B.
We've got a princess dress on. I didn't design it, but I wish I had.
Yes, you would have made a lot of money.
I would have. It's in the Disney store.
So, we have speaking of your mom, I'm not sure who this is, but it says, I know your mom was a fashion inspiration to you. How did she influence your designs? And did she ever get to attend any of the business meetings with you and your team?
Yes, she did. She was with me on store appearances, and she did a lot of things with me. So we were one life and limb. So when you ask me about my mother, she was a part of everything I did, every decision I made, every breath I took. So she inspired a lot in me. And she was very, I think, being that she wanted to be a dress designer, she was so happy when this happened for me and I made this decision.
No, it's obviously like the family piece just continues to come out, right? I mean, it's like from your parents to be to, and that's actually the feel, and we thank you for welcoming us to your house, just the way your house is run on a day-by-day basis, because that's basically how you manage business. There's a very interesting question here. It says, hold on, let me find it. What experiences or values did you draw on when negotiating contracts?
Wow. Well, I think contracts are, a difficult thing. So again, you bring in somebody smarter than you, called a lawyer, to help. But more important than just, because Kmart, when I started, it was certainly not about what I would make at all. And I give that one reason that we're successful, because it was really about the desire to design, to connect with my customer, and to do something different. So when she said I'm distracted, I am. Oh, shiny, really? Okay. I love you. I love you like crazy. And I'm going to play later. Anyway, when she says to me, Mimi, will you play? I say, all day long, my love. So that's what she thinks we're doing. Anyway, contracts, it was never about the money or what I would make. It was more about what kind of input I could have, how, when I said the design of the commercial, the hang tag, what was going to be printed in that hang tag. Would I be totally involved? Every contract, and I think a contract, it's really, you got to love the people you're working with. And then a contract really falls into place. If you don't respect and love them, the contract will never happen. So that's just the bottom line. You know, I've been fortunate that everybody I work with, I'd like to sit down and have dinner with.
Right. No, I've experienced that several times. So, and I enjoy that a lot. So B is how old? 4 years old?
Four. B is
Four.
four. Yeah.
So for little girls like B, what would you say about to encourage them to follow their dreams and actually get what you got?
Wow. Well, I think again, it all comes down to home life, values, you know, just sort of encouraging their creativity and their freedom. I think my mother, you know, I always marvel because when we would visit Houston and my kids wanted to do a tent in the living room, it wasn't about don't hurt the furniture. It was about the tent. And when they would run wild and get wet and come in with wet feet, it was okay. You know, so I think, yes, there's discipline. Yes, there's boundaries, but I think children need freedom. I think they need to be free to express themselves. And out of that self-expression comes self-esteem and self-confidence. So I think that's how you start on the path right. It's really, you know, you start on a path down there. And I think when you have confidence, you go for what you want to do in life. You go toward the fear. I used to say to my children, go out on a limb. That's where the fruit is. You sometimes have to go toward what you're frightened of. And every new venture can be sort of daunting and frightening. I remember taking on Jaclyn Louvier Kennedy, and because she was so familiar to us, I thought, oh, I can't do this. But then I realized I'm just going to go for the essence. I'm going to go for what she was about. And then you put on the clothes and the pillbox hat, and all of a sudden you feel like her. So I think that's it, the freedom to be and to be embraced for your individualism.
Right.
People need to hear you and see you and all your special qualities, because I think it's our eccentricities that really make us unique and make us who we are.
Yeah, there's a lot of conversations about being showing for who we are and practically showing our cards to connect with other people. So I think that's great advice. Jaclyn, when it comes to fashion, if you were not wearing Jaclyn Smith, what labels do you like? Where do you see fashion? What retailers do you go to? Is there?
You know, I like to mix it up. I like to shop high-low. I'm not going to say, you know, a designer. Chanel's a classic. Do I want a whole Chanel suit? No. Maybe a Chanel bag or a jacket with jeans. And I think, you know, because I've liked those jackets, we've done something very reminiscent of a Chanel jacket at Kmart that makes it possible. You know, I like vintage clothing. I like, you know, I pull out some of my mother's clothing. She had a lot of Pucci blouses. She had some Ferragamo and different things. I think, you know, style it's so unique to the person. I think innate style is not about the latest or a particular designer. It's about mixing it up and making it your own and putting a vintage belt with, you know, a designer top and a pair of my pants. I mean, that way your money goes further. That way it's all about you and making it your own and what looks good on you. I don't believe in following trends necessarily. I mean, to a certain point, you know, fashion colors of the season or, you know, I guess if one thing's in and it's a tremendous, you know, like narrow-legged jeans came in. Well, yeah, I like that. but now a wide-legged jean is in. So you have to find what works for you.
Right. No, it's thank you so much for all of your advice and for your time. It's very valuable to hear from you. And I'm going to go ahead and close the session, but I just wanted to quote you on something I heard you said once, that was angels are like diamonds. They're not made, they're found. And I think that everybody in this call will agree today that we found an angel, and we're very happy to have spent the time with you.
Ramon, you're too nice. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate all of you for listening in, and I thank you, Ramon.
No, thank you, Jaclyn, and thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon.